Okay, folks, we're getting ready. Going into the room in a minute. We're a little bit early. Okay, welcome everybody to the 10-Minute Trades Trade Room Quarterly Grains Report. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the Trading Director at 10-Minute Trades. Remember, please, that all the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. It is possible to lose money trading futures, so trade carefully. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is look at last quarter's quarterly grain report. Now, I'm not sure. Let me just check something before we do this. Hold on one second. We've got the report. So I'm showing that soybeans were a stop. Soybeans were a stop and corn was a winner. Let's see what the video shows. My video has a strange note. So I want to see what it looks like. So I'm trading corn on the left. Soybeans were on the right. Now it was okay, so I remember this trade. It was not a winning trade. It was a losing trade because it was a whipsaw and then it changed direction. So that's a mistake on the report. It was not a winning trade. And you can see that. I mean, we lost money. And soybeans were a complete whipsaw. So that's why we check these videos in the trade room. Now, if I remember correctly, some people actually made money with smaller targets, if I remember correctly. But it was 3 months ago. So I'm not going to swear to it that was the case. But that report did not work. Okay. And you can see what happens. There's a false move to the wrong side, and then it immediately reverses. So watch. It's hard to see it. It happens so fast. It's a little delayed reaction. It shoots up, then pulls back down, but it looks like the problem is the software. The market move was so fast that the software couldn't keep up with it, and the program didn't know where the stop is. So you have to understand that when you trade an event, that's like one of the things that can rarely happen that can screw up a trade. And that's what happened last quarter. Let's look at the quarter before. Just want to see. I'm curious if my setup is in here. It's not. So the quarter before, it shoots up. It's hard to see because the price is off the chart. The videos are really weird on this one. But you want to think about this report like a WASD report. That's usually the way it behaves, sometimes faster. Here's September. Now, September, it just shoots up. And hits all your targets. And that was a $450 profit. Now, obviously, that's the kind of move you want to see. Just a stable, steady, regular move. That was September. And then let me look at another one. Let's pull out a year ago. So that would be almost exactly, it's exactly a year ago to the day. 6:30. Charts look very different a year ago. Using targets of 7 and 19 a year ago. All right, here's the trade. And it burst up. Quite a bit of slippage that day. You could see it. It was all the way up top. I moved my stop too close to the price. And I think it took me out of that trade flat, believe it or not. This has not been easy to trade the past year. Not been easy to trade. That trade had a moderate to a large amount of slippage, it looks like to me. Let's see if I could stop the video right on that candle. So it shoots up quite a bit very fast, filling at the very top of the candle. And then it pulls back faster than the eye can see. Starts to head back up, trying to get my stop into profit, and I got myself taken out of the trade by moving the stop too close. It would have pulled back anyway, so maybe in some ways I was lucky that that was flat. It was a winner, Mark. Not huge. We made between 150 and 220. It hit a target and a half and then reversed quickly to ADP. So what I would do for this report, and I still call this a family money trade because it's really got a very good history of trading well. And yes, there can be a few reports that are difficult. That's allowed. I do want to record this. I mean, look, we cannot guarantee anything. That just because we call something a family trade doesn't mean it's going to work. But it means that we like the odds, we like the probabilities of it working. We want it to work, of course. So there's a couple of things to know. When you're trading corn and when you're trading grains, if there's a gigantic move, roughly 20% of the price, it can hit what's called limit order up or limit order down, and it can actually lock you in the market. It's pretty rare, but you just want to, if you set your targets so they're huge, you increase the chances that you might get locked into a market if it has a monstrous move. It's not the norm for that to happen. We've seen it a couple of times this year. Before that, I think I've only seen it happen once in maybe 5 years, so it's still very rare. But on these grain trades, I don't get greedy. I'm just looking for a good move and to take a profit and get out. That's my approach with the grain trades. Now, sometimes with corn and soybeans, sometimes one or the other can move in an unusual manner before a trade. So I set up a trade on both indexes. First, I'm going to go to time.is and check the sync of my computer, and my computer sync is fine. But what I like to do is set up a corn trade and to set up a soybean trade. And there was an instance on the WASD report where right before the news came out, corn behaved in such a way that it looked like corn was trading news. It was such a big move that we canceled our corn trade and traded soybeans. Had a winning soybean trade, but it appeared that corn was too risky to trade, and we passed on the corn trade. It turned out, even with the crazy move that it had, it was okay to trade, which is kind of interesting. Now, so the way that I'll trade this, I use a bracket of 6 on this report, and I'll trade 3 positions. I'll trade 6, 12, and 20. That would be 47 contracts. One position, one position, one position. Okay. And then I'm going to trade my first target. I'm looking for 6 ticks. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. 5, 10, and 20. Why? Because my stop is 12. My entry time is 11. 59.59. It's a breakout. Trading corn, ZC12. I'm going to label it. Okay, ZC quarterly grains. So bracket of 6, target of 5, target of 10, target of 20. Entry time 11:59:59. Mark, because the volume is much higher. Correct, Keith. The volume is much higher. We checked it in the last trade room. It's really simple. You're only going to trade. It's the contract that has the higher volume. And on corn, the previous contract has good volume, but nowhere near December. So you have to trade the right contract. Soybeans were ZC11, and it's almost the same setup. It's a slightly bigger bracket for soy because they are whippier. Bracket of 8. And I'll do 5, 9, and 19. Stop is 15 on soy. It's a little bit higher. Entry time is the same. 11:59. $59, and I'm making it so it's live, but I'm not enabling the trade because I prefer corn, okay? But if corn were to do something that made me feel it was unsafe to trade, then I have the ability to change, I have the ability to change the X's, okay? I can trade, uncheck my corn trade and check my soy trade, or I can do the opposite, okay? So my corn trade is checked. My soy trade is ready to trade if I need to. If, if it appears that the markets are not safe to trade, then I won't trade it. You don't have to trade if things are unsafe. Mark, to add an instrument, you go to Tools, Instrument Lists, click on Futures, so it goes in the Futures folder. Click on Add, and type in ZC space 12-21. AM, the bracket is 6 on corn and it's 8 on soy. Okay? So that's the way. Let's check our sync one more time. I'm going to the website time.is, And all I do is go to that website to see if I'm in sync. That's all I have to do. I just go to that website. Now, let's say corn does something so crazy I don't want to trade it. A minute before the trade, I just uncheck it, and then I can check soy. And then I have a soy trade. I do not want to trade them both because this has been somewhat difficult to trade lately. So you may have to manage the trade, right? So you want to manage. It's hard to manage one trade, let alone two. That can be tricky. If it's very simple trades to trade, very slow moving, or you're very comfortable in knowing how it's going to move, then you can trade two instruments at once. And some people, they trade two instruments at once. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different level of comfortable in their trades. And there's no wrong or right. It's what you're comfortable is. So let's look at what happened. If I can find the report, let me see if I know. There was a WASD report that was so crazy. WASD is also a grain report, very, very similar to this report. And one of the WASDs did almost the exact same thing, or not the exact same thing. It did something so strange. You know what? I have no idea which trade that was. It was at least, I think it was 3 months ago, where it moved as if the trade was released before the news came out. And it wasn't that month. So I'm not going to, you know what, I'm not going to waste time dealing with that. So if your computer doesn't go into sync, you can download a program called Dimension 4. It's in the room drive in our platform, in the trade room. If you open that room drive, there's a program called D4 right there. You can download it, and that program can help put your computer in sync if going into sync doesn't work when you go to the website time.is. And Dimension 4 looks like this. When you click on it, it opens a page where it has a Sync Now button, and there's a line that says synchronized. You click the Sync Now button, and you check the line that's synchronized to make sure it changes. And if it changes, most probably you're in sync. But then what you want to do is check by going back to the website, time.is. And hopefully it says your time is exact. So soybean on the right. Now this is a report that we don't know what the news result is until the trade is way long over. Now sometimes Financial Juice will have news results, but I don't see any any info on their website today. They do sometimes do the WASD report, but they don't always have info for quarterly grains. So right now, I don't see any info on quarterly grains. So we're on our own, but we never have known in advance or right after the trade what this trade does. It's sort of like the Tuesday oil report. You get filled, you have a good sense of whether the news is good or bad based on the move. You know, if you have a great move, then the news is good. Who I'm not going to even lie and say I totally understand um, the news results on a grain trade. They're looking at a lot of different data, planting data, um, acreage, the number of acres being used. If you ever looked at a WASDE report, you have to go to the USDA website and you could actually read the WASDE report. There's a tremendous amount of information that they look at that helps determine whether it's considered a good news report or not a good news report. And again, the big issue for us is this is a report, it just generally moves. So that's why we trade it. It's got a history of having a very impactful move. So that's the reason we trade it. I wish I remembered what month that was the report. Acted like it already traded. Let me see, I'll look one more report. I have a phone that I can't control the sound on. It's crazy. I'm not going to look. There's only 5 minutes. So soybeans are on the right. Corn is on the left. Now I hear in my headset, I can hear Financial Juice, their Squawk Box, talking. And they are not mentioning anything about the quarterly grain report. Now, in the history of our company, I don't think we've ever, it's never happened that we've come into the room, excuse me, and traded a report where there wasn't a report. In other words, where we got the date wrong and we traded the report. In all the years that I've been doing this, which is many years, that's never happened. Now, I know today for a fact that there is a grain report. And think about what would happen if you came into the room and you tried to trade a report and the report never happened. Possibly, you might get filled and there'd be no move. It would be like a dull report. Or strong possibility you wouldn't even get filled. Ed, do me a favor and please send me an email at help@10minutetrades.com. And do you have the video on setting up your charts? Do you have the video on setting up your charts? Have you looked at the videos on the website? Because there's easily 8 videos on the website that show you how to set up charts. So honestly, that's got to be the first thing that you attempt. Okay? Look at a couple of videos on setting up your charts. Or we can spend some time in one of the trade rooms. To do it too. Okay? All right. Send me an email and tell me what the problem is. And then maybe I'll have an idea before we, tell me what the problem is and we'll figure it out. The settings are different, Mark. The bracket is 8 on soybeans. It's 6 on corn. The entry times are the same. The targets are a tiny bit different, but it's inconsequential. Entry time is the same. It's really the bracket, 8 on soy, 6 on corn. For me, 5 to 6 on corn. I'm using targets of 5, 10, and 20, 5, 9, and 19 on soy. Keeping my eye on corn. You can see both indexes are volatile. They're both volatile. Holy cream puff. $1,587. That's called a little bit of positive slippage. We made $1,400 on the trade. Now, let me just say something. Who made money? Who made money on that trade? Soybeans were safe. Get out of the market, folks. If you're in the market, get out now, because this is a giant move. Just in case it limits, you don't want to be stuck in the market. Take your profit and get out. Okay? Take your profit and get out, please. Let's explain and understand what happened here after my heart gets back out of my throat, back into my chest. All right? That was the scariest trade. The market has frozen. So if you're in that market, you cannot get out of the corn market now. Okay? I warned you. I hope you're not in that market. It hit limit up. Now, I'm surprised that soybeans are trading. I'm surprised that soybeans are trading. First, let's just chill for a second and calm down. YouTube, I don't understand why I don't have 4 likes. There's a couple of you there. Let's see some likes, please. We made $1,300 in 1 second. 1 second. That was positive slippage. Do you know what? Okay, so let me just go over a couple of things. Let's watch the video, number 1. Maybe the market's not frozen. Corn, no, corn is frozen. The market's, hang on, folks. I'm looking, it looks like it's still trading. I would not be in any market right now, personally. I would not be in any market. I want to know who made money. Who made money? Write down what you made. Beautiful, Jeremiah, beautiful. I want you to send me your graphics. I want your graphics, okay? I want your graphics. So I was up 150 before that trade, right? I was up 150 before the trade. And now I'm up 1587. $1,437 profit in 1 second. That was 1 second. Do you hear me? Now, if you had the guts to stay in that trade, you deserve to be rewarded, right? Look how scary this trade was. The market tried to scare you out of this trade. The market tried to scare you out of the trade. And let me show you how. Let me show you how. I was worried. about this trade. Keep typing in if you made money. And if you didn't trade the trade, tell me why. Why do you not trade a family money trade? Why would you not trade a family money trade? I would not trade it myself if I wouldn't trade my family's money. Okay? Now, Mila, you're a different case because you're brand new. You're brand new. But Mila, you understand why the software is so important? It's very hard to set that up manually because because of the pre-trade volatility. You can do it, but you'll make less money because your brackets will be bigger. You understand what I mean? Here's why this trade really took dedication and confidence in us and in your belief that family money trades work. Watch what happened. Before the trade, let's watch the minute before the trade. You already had a big candle that made me very worried. That candle got me worried. That was 2 minutes before the trade, okay? 2 minutes before the trade. You've got corn acting like it's pretty darn volatile. That's nerve-wracking. Then it goes the opposite way. Goes right back to where it was. Then it goes a little bit wacky, right? Watch it here. You had to have guts to stay in this trade. It was scary. It was trying to stop you out. Sandy, I'm not understanding what you mean, 4 ticks above and below. A bracket of 6, and what do you mean 4 ticks above and below? So look at the movement. Look at the movement. Soybeans definitely made me extremely nervous about the trade. Extremely nervous. Yeah, Sanji, that wouldn't have had any effect. That's range trade settings. Right? That's range trade settings. But before the trade, look at the movement before the trade. You have to have a little bit of guts to stay in. It was nerve-wracking. That was nerve-wracking. And then it just exploded. And what happened is it hits my targets, but it hits them way past where they were supposed to be. So I got positive slippage. In other words, I got filled very low on the candle and taken out way up, much higher than what I expected. Joshua, the reason you can get crazy behavior, like getting entered on the wrong direction, is because you could see an instantaneous pullback as the trade started. It's hard to see, but if you look at the range chart, if you look at a range chart, you can see every single little move that the price action would have made. So if you look at a range chart and put it on corn, ZC 1221, and it's a one range chart. First of all, I'm going to put my charts on Sim. First of all, let me just take a picture, folks. Let me just take a picture, which I'm going to need for later. That was incredible. That was ridiculous. I mean, how many times do we say to ourselves, man, the market owes me, right? Well, the market owes me. The market owes me. And I'll take it anytime it wants to give it to me. The market owes me for all the times it took my money, right? So that was quarterly grains, and it has been difficult lately. It's still a money trade because it has a history of making money. That's why it's still a family trade. It's got a good history. When you look at the range trade, it's because it moved so fast, Joshua, it didn't know where the stop was. It's so fast, it did not know where the stop was. That's why that happens. As the stop was moving, you might have been out of the trade, but it didn't realize you were out of the trade. So it still moved the stop and it put you back in the trade. And that's because when a market moves so unbelievably fast, crazy things can happen. Mila, it was supposed to be 8 ticks above the current price at noon on soybeans, 8 above and 8 below on soybeans, 6 above, 6 below on corn. So on corn, if you go back to the time of the trade, I think we'll see there was a move down right at the time of the original trade. And what sometimes can happen is, depending where your orders get placed on the chart, sometimes you can be unlucky and get filled in the wrong direction. It's possible. There's just no guarantees everything will work perfectly in super, super fast moves. And it's nobody's fault. It's just the market. It can be very unforgiving. So at 12 o'clock, at 59, our orders went on the chart, right? That's when our orders went on the chart, at 59. So our orders went on the chart right here, right about here. And they would have been 6 ticks above that price or 6 ticks below that price. And then we got filled. The move started up, okay? It did not look like it went down. The move starts up. It fills me. After quite a little bit of movement, actually, I take that back. It filled me down here. Look, it filled me down here. It filled me at 535.25. That was like a lucky, lucky break. Very close to where my orders were. Okay. But the range chart shows every single tick. It filled me down here. You can't even see it. It happened so fast. It was 535.50. And then it hits my target way up here. 545. 10 points later. 40 ticks later, folks, and I only had a profit of 5 ticks. That's how much slippage there was. It was a monstrous amount of slippage in our favor. In our favor. And look, the market is halted because the move was so big. And you can't get out of that market now until it reopens, which is maybe tonight at 6. I'd have to check when the grain market reopens. But what a crazy trade. What a crazy trade. And corn looks frozen too. Although it seems to be, it has to be frozen, but it doesn't appear to be. It seems to be moving. So I will always happily take a profit with 40 ticks of extra slippage. Okay. Pretty crazy. Josh, yours was pretty crazy too. So if you made money, send me a picture, please, of the money that you made. Please send me a picture of the money that you made. And that's our last trade of the day, folks. Tomorrow we'll be here at 9:30. 9:30. Any questions? Any other questions, folks? Any other questions before we go? Not a bad day's work. Not a bad day's work. Yes, Wally, you can be slipped the wrong way, but Wally, the point is, it equals out. It equals out. People are always complaining, oh, there's slippage, oh, there's slippage. Yeah, but it happens both directions. We've done the research, Wally. There's just as much positive slippage as there is negative, and that's being honest. It's not like we lucked out. It is what it is. There's an equal amount of positive and negative slippage. That's how it goes. Today, we had a winning trade no matter what. We weren't going to have a losing trade today. It didn't look like there was a losing trade. But the amount of profits, we got lucky. We definitely got a lucky break by the market being so fast. It couldn't get out fast enough. You could see the broker pulling his hair out, right? So pretty happy to end the day. And that was a very, very nerve-wracking trade. Very nerve-wracking trade. I don't know about you, but after watching the videos and seeing that quarterly grains has been a little bit more difficult than I remembered, no matter what, it's a family money trade, no matter what, because it has a 3-year history of hardly ever being stopped. Hardly ever. That's the truth. So it's family money no matter what. All right. So that was great. I'll see everybody tomorrow at 9:30. We have a couple of trades. One is an important trade. ISM Manufacturing is an important trade, but right now it's not a family money trade, but it's still an important trade, and it's worth watching, if not trading in your test account, if you have one. Otherwise, you could watch me. All right, folks. So I'll see everybody at 9:30 tomorrow. Let's double check. Yeah, tomorrow we have 3 events. Natural gas, ISM Manufacturing, the big one, and Final Manufacturing. So I'll see everybody tomorrow. And have an awesome rest of your day. Yeah, what a move. All right, folks. I'll see you later.